Jurassic Park 3. This is the final Jurassic Park movie in the original Jurassic Park Trilogy. It's the first to not be directed by Steven Spielberg. It's directed by one of his friends, Joe Johnston, and it's a good movie. It's probably my least favorite of the original Jurassic Park Trilogy, but it still has likable moments. There's spoilers for this movie review, of course. Um, it stars Sam Neill. He returns as Dr. Alan Grant. And William H. Macy, he plays Paul Kirby. And Tea Leoni plays his wife Amanda Kirby. There's a whole bunch of new characters in this movie. Basically, Dr. Alan Grant is still doing research, doing fossil digging, similar things that he was doing in the first Jurassic Park. And he's approached by Paul Kirby saying that he owns a company, Kirby Enterprises, and that he wants to go for supper with Dr. Alan Grant and that it would be an honor, basically. And after, the character of Billy basically speaking for him, they end up going to a meal. And Paul and Amanda say that they are wanting to go on a tour of the island Isla Sorna, Site B from The Lost World, and they want Alan to be their guide, and that there's nobody else more qualified than him, and that it would mean the world to them if he would come along, and they're willing to pay any price to get him to come along. And so, of course, he goes. And it's okay, it's a rinse and repeat from the first Jurassic Park. He's going to the island for a paycheck. But that's okay. The Spinosaurus is the big deal in this movie. I remember seeing this movie in theaters as a young kid. And I remember seeing the Spinosaurus and hearing its roar, and I was scared out of my socks. I was like 7, 8 years old at the time. It frightened me. I was not used to seeing those types of movies, and it scared me as a kid. I have no shame in admitting that. And, these years later, if you're watching on digital surround sound and have, all the bass and everything going in your entertainment room, it can still be quite spine-tingling to hear some of the sound effects in this movie. All the dinosaurs get a visual update. The T-Rex, and then, of course, the Spinosaurus is new. The Brachiosaurus, the Stegosaurus, and the new dinosaurs, all of them, beautiful visual looks. Some of the dinosaurs, you can tell that they're animatronic and their moves are kind of robotic, but that's okay. This movie is substantially shorter than the other two. The other two are 2 hours and 10 minutes long. This one is an hour and a half. It should have been longer. And it's the first of the movies to, of course, not be based on a book written by Michael Crichton, because he never wrote a third Jurassic Park book. Some say he did, but it was never released. And this one, it's never said where Alan and Ellie Sattler's relationship actually goes. You get the hint that Alan was too dedicated to his career so that they weren't together, and she maybe was hanging out with someone else. You see Ellie Sattler holding a kid during one of their conversations at the start of the movie. It is never stated that I remember if the kid belongs to them or her and this other guy that she's presumably talking to. You aren't told. And at the very end of the movie, you get the feeling that he's going to talk to her and tell her how he actually feels, which is a nice ending. The raptors look great in this movie. They got a great visual update. A lot of the scenes in this movie are very cool. There's a part where the Spinosaurus eats a guy that has Paul Kirby's cell phone, and someone calls this phone and it's ringing in the Spinosaurus's stomach when it shows up. That's a little bit gimmicky and a little bit on the nose. And there's a scene where the Spinosaurus is attacking them when they're in a boat. That is very well done, and it's very good. Some of these scenes, the movie's directed by Joe Johnston, but Steven Spielberg was still part of the production department and still was there. I like to think that Joe Johnston went to Steven Spielberg and asked for his help on many occasions. It's never been confirmed, but I like to think that. The characters of Billy and Paul and Eric are likable. Eric is a good child actor. He did his lines well, and he seems to have enjoyed his role. And It was well done. The character of Amanda, she spends the majority of the movie just screaming Eric's name once they get to the island, and that gets annoying. The entire second act of the movie could have one title, and it's just called Eric. That gets annoying. Other than that, it's a very enjoyable movie. It is the least favorite of the original Jurassic Park trilogy for me, but I did enjoy it. It is a part of my childhood, and I will always like it. It gets about a 7.5 out of 10. Like I said, it's the least enjoyable of the trilogy for me, but it's still very enjoyable. And I've enjoyed talking about these three movies. The reviews for the other two Jurassic Park movies should be up already. Feel free to check those out. And if you have an opinion or a comment about these movies, please comment below. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. You guys are all great. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and take care.